Hi, Algebra 1A students, and welcome to Project 5. We are currently on the first lesson, which is lesson 21 for Project 5, and there are 5 questions here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is all about solving systems of inequations graphically, and it's kind of a fun lesson. Okay, so here we go. There are many different factors that have to match up in order to determine whether someone is guilty of a crime. These factors can often be represented as systems of equations. The table below shows a list of suspects and some information about each one. Use your knowledge of systems of equations to determine who committed the crime. Okay, so we have a little chart here that has shoe size and age, and it looks like X is going to be our shoe size and age is going to be Y. And our system of equations that we're working with is X plus Y equals 44 and 2X minus Y equals a negative 14. So we are going to be tasked with the job of figuring out which one of these suspects will work for both of these equations. So one thing that we could do is just simply plug in values for X and Y. So we could plug in 6 for X and 38 for Y and see if it works for both of these equations. Okay, so that's one thing that we could do. And then we could go down and do 11 for X and 26 for Y. And we could do this for every single one of these suspects. And because there's only 5 of them, it wouldn't take us that long. The good news for us, though, is that there's even a faster way to do it. And for crime investigators, usually there's probably more than 5 suspects. And so they wouldn't want to have to go through every single one of these. Okay. So let's erase that and scroll down here. And the first question is, which of the following equations in slope-intercept form are equivalent to those given in the system of equations, or in the given system of equations? Okay, so basically we just have to rearrange each of these equations into slope-intercept form. So there's going to be 2 right answers here, and that's it. All right, so the first one, X plus Y equals 44. And remember, we're looking for Y equals mx plus b. So what we need to do is get Y by itself. And in order to get Y by itself for this equation, I need to subtract X from both sides. So I do that. I get Y equals 44 minus X. But I need to have that X first. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange. And I'm going to have Y equals negative X plus 44. So what that's telling me is that the graph of this line is going to have a slope of negative 1 and a Y-intercept or B value of 44. Okay, so this is the first one, and it looks like, let's see, negative X plus 44 would be right here. For some reason, it doesn't want to let me click over there. Oh, I know why. Okay, not a big deal. We'll just write it on here. All right, and then the next one, we're going to do similar. 2x minus y equals negative 14. Okay, I need to subtract negative 2x. Excuse me, I need to subtract 2x, not subtract a negative 2x. Subtract 2x from both sides. That's going to cancel out over here on the left, and on the right we're going to be left with negative y equals negative 14 minus 2x, and I'm going to rearrange these so that I'm in y equals mx plus b. So I have negative y equals negative 2x minus 14. The problem here is, though, that I still have a negative 1 in front of that y. In order to be in y equals mx plus b, I have to just have y. I can't have any coefficients in front of y, and I can't have any negatives in front of y. So I need to divide this by a negative 1, and when I divide the left by a negative 1, I have to divide every term on the right by a -1. So when I do that, I get y equals 2x plus 14. And what that's telling me is that my slope is 2 and my y-intercept, or my b value, is 14. So the other answer here is 2x plus 14, which is right there. Now, where those two lines intersect, I will have the solution to this system of equations. So let's go look at that now. Okay, so what we need to look at is these different graphs and figure out which ones match what we just came up with, which was y equal -x plus 44 and y equal 2x plus 14. So essentially I've got lines going in different directions because I've got a positive and a negative slope, and I've got b values. I'm crossing the y-axis at 14 and 44. So if we look at this first graph here, you can see this is probably what's going to give it away, and I'll do this in a different color here. You can see that my line with a negative slope is crossing the y-axis at 44, and my line with a positive slope is crossing the y-axis at 14. That is pretty much what I'm looking at there. All right, so let's see if any of our other graphs match this any better. Let's see, crossing at 44 and 14, okay, which is great, but the slope of my negative line is steeper than the slope of my positive line. And if you go up here, the slope of my positive line is steeper than the slope of my negative line. My slope of 2 is going to be steeper than my slope of -1. So this graph looks better than that second one. This third graph, I'm crossing, the blue line is crossing in the wrong place altogether. It's crossing the x-axis at 14. It should be crossing the y-axis at 14. And again, the fourth graph should be crossing, the red line should be crossing at 44, not at 14. So it looks pretty safe to say that this first graph, where I've got a steep blue line, a shallower red line, and I'm crossing at 14 and 44, is going to be my right answer here. Okay. So based on that, I can go up and I can say where the two lines intersect, that will give me the coordinates for who is my culprit. So this is saying that if I follow this down, my x coordinate is 10 and my y coordinate is 34. Okay, so this was a shoe size of 10 and an age of 34. If I go up here to my chart, I can see that Joshua has a shoe size of 10 and an age of 34. So Joshua is our culprit. All right, so Joshua. And then the last two problems are typing questions. Briefly describe how we use the graph to find the solution to the system. So briefly can be the solution to the system. And you know what? It's not going to let me type because this class has kind of expired. So I'm going to have to get that resolved. But for the meantime, I can write this out. Let's see. The solution to the system is where the two graphs intersect. And that is all we need to write. You could put in there 10 and 34. Okay. And the last question here, how many of the suspects have an age and shoe size that satisfy the first equation, x plus y equals 44? Describe why the second equation in the system is important and necessary to solve this problem. Okay, so if we go back up to the chart, so x plus y equals 44, so we can see that 6 plus 38 is 44. 11 and 26 is 37, so that wouldn't work. 9 and 35 is 44. 10 and 34 is 44. Okay, so there are, and 9 and 59 is 68, so that won't work either. So 3 out of the 5 possible suspects meet that initial equation. So that second equation is necessary to eliminate all but the right answer, because 2 lines can only intersect in one place. Okay, so let's go down and type that in there. So 3 suspects satisfy x plus y equals 44. Okay. The second equation is necessary to eliminate, sorry about that, the other possibilities. 2 lines, and not straight lines, 2 lines will only intersect in or at one point. And that means one solution. Okay, so type something in that neighborhood and you will be just fine. That is the end of this particular lesson, and if you come back again, I will see you here for lesson 22. Thanks.